Hi, everybody. I miss you. I hope you're all doing well, staying healthy, staying active. I thought I would change things up a little bit today for today's lesson. I am going to make a video to show you what to do. I hope this helps. The steps are also going to be in the slides in this slideshow that follow. So I would start off by watching the video. Make sure that you do check through each of the slides in the assignment. There's some interesting information in there, some things that will really help you. The last 5 slides of the presentation, I have included an example that I put together of what your finished assignment should look like. So when you submit this assignment to Canvas, it will look like the last 5 slides of this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. All you're going to need for this assignment is a piece of paper, some scissors, something to write with, a camera to take pictures, and it's just a little bit of creativity. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust my camera down so that you can see what I'm going to produce, and I'll talk you through it. All right, bear with me for a minute. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my paper here. So you could really use any kind of paper. This is just plain white computer paper. But if you have construction paper that you want to use, colored paper, bigger pieces of paper, smaller pieces of paper, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making the shape of a vase or the shape of a piece of pottery or a frame. So I have some that are already made. I'm going to just show you really quickly. So essentially, we're going to be making these, okay? So you're going to end up with the shape of a piece of pottery. We're then going to use this frame. So I'm going to be referring to this as the frame. Then I'm going to be using this frame that we create of our cutout pottery to find interesting surfaces that we could use for pottery. So what this lesson is going to do is going to help you find patterns, look for textures, and explore different ways that we can decorate and design pottery. Because really the sky is the limit when it comes to adding decoration to pottery. Okay, so we're going to start off. I'm going to show you how to get your frame made. I'm going to show you 2 different options. You can try both ways, or you can do one way or the other. So the first option is going to be making a pottery frame out of just a piece of paper. The second thing I will show you is that you can also make a pottery frame out of a piece of cardboard. Now, I will say that the cardboard has some pros and cons. The pro to the cardboard is it's a lot more sturdy, so it's going to hold its shape easier than the piece of paper. So when I go to try to take pictures with the white piece of paper, because it's so thin, it might be a little bit more difficult to get a good picture. The cardboard is more sturdy, however, it is more difficult to cut. So if you do have some cardboard laying around and you want to make your frame out of cardboard, you will need either a box cutter or an X-Acto knife. Both of those items are very, very sharp. I do have an X-Acto knife right here. If you do choose the option with the cardboard, just please be very, very careful. I cut myself when I was making one of these and it did not feel good. So beware, be careful. You could also use a thinner piece of cardboard. This piece of cardboard came from a shipping box, I think from Amazon maybe. But you could even use, like if you have any sort of box that's laying around, a cereal box, any sort of empty cardboard box that might be a little bit thinner than this, but still would be a little bit more sturdy than the paper. If all you can come up with is paper, that will work too. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put these off to the side and we'll come back to them again shortly. So the cool thing about this assignment is there's really no wrong way of making a pottery form. You can pretty much make any shape that you want. Your pottery form could be symmetrical, meaning that both sides of the piece of pottery would be the same, like this one. This one's symmetrical, or you can make it asymmetrical, where if we were cut line down the middle of this one, it's different. These can also be made in different sizes, so I encourage you to try different sizes. I made some that were pretty small. So I have this one here, pretty small. It's better for capturing smaller textures. I also made some that were quite a bit bigger, and I was just really experimenting with making these so that I could have some to show you. You don't have to make this many. The requirement for you is that you make at least 2, okay? So you need to make at least 2 different pottery frames, however you want. So they can both be symmetrical, they can both be asymmetrical. You could do one of each. They could be the same size, they can be different sizes. I don't care as long as you have 2 different ones. So to make them out of paper, we're going to start by folding. So this is going to give you a symmetrical pottery shape, okay? So you could do either a hamburger fold. So if you do a hamburger fold, it's going to give you maybe a wider piece of pottery. Or you can do the hot dog fold, which is going to give you a taller piece of pottery, okay? So let's just say I'm going to do the hot dog fold. I'm going to go ahead and fold it. It doesn't even have to be doesn't have to be folded perfectly in half, but you want to get it as close as you can. You're then going to use a pencil or a pen or a marker. I don't care. I'm using a Sharpie so that you can see it a little bit better. You're going to draw half of the shape of your pot. I've also included on one of the slides in the slideshow some different shapes of pottery that maybe you could look at to help you come up with some ideas, okay? So I'm just going to kind of wing it, and I'm going to draw half of my pottery on my paper, okay? So once I have the half drawn, and make sure when you're drawing this that it's on the folded side, okay? So if I open this up, you can see that half of my pottery is on the folded side. I think I want to make my bottom a little bit more flat. I don't like how that curved down there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut along the line. So I know this is kind of like elementary school stuff. Maybe when you were a kid, you did something like this to cut out a heart, okay? But you'll see why we're doing it here in just a minute. Now, when I was kind of playing around with this project, I kept my inside pieces, and then I used them to trace onto my cardboard because I wanted to make them a little bit less flimsy. But if I open up this middle part, you're going to see that it's in the shape of a vase, okay? This piece is fine, but this is not the piece that we're using for the project. So I'm going to put this off to the side for right now, and I'm going to open up what I have left. So this here we would consider negative space. So this is negative space, which is creating the shape of your pottery form or your frame, okay? Now, after you've made at least 2 of these, by all means, make more than 2. I made probably 15 because I'm bored and I'm trying to do something, put some lessons together. So if you're bored, you want to make more, great, but you do have to make at least 2. So let's say I've made this one out of paper. I want to just really quickly talk to you about how to also do this on cardboard. So I had some cardboard, a cardboard box laying around. I'm going to put this down in front of me. So there's a couple ways that you could go about the cardboard. I could take this piece that I cut out of a regular piece of paper, trace it onto the cardboard, cut it out, okay? Or I could use some sort of a straight edge. I'm just going to use, I had a piece of cardboard here, so I'm going to use the edge of this piece of cardboard. And I'm going to start by drawing a vertical line, however tall I want my vase to be. I'm then going to do exactly what I did for the paper vase. On one half of that line, I am going to draw half of my vase. Maybe this one's going to be a little bit squiggly or something. Okay, so you can be creative with the way your shapes are made. Okay, now for cutting through cardboard, a couple things you got to be careful of. First of all, you want to consider the surface that's underneath the cardboard. You don't want to cut on your wood table because as you cut through the cardboard, you're going to cut into your table. So you've got to make sure you have some sort of a cutting board underneath, or you're working on a surface that's okay for it to get cut or scratched, okay? If you're using an X-Acto knife, you're going to be very careful. You want to make sure your blade is sharp. Dull blades cause more cuts than sharp blades do because they stick on the cardboard, okay? I would recommend that as you're cutting, you start by scoring. So I'm going to start by just cutting through one layer of my cardboard. So I'm not going all the way through. I'm following my line and I'm carefully cutting. Now, because I don't have a good surface to cut on, unfortunately, to show you guys, I am not going to cut this all the way through, but I'm going to talk you through what to do next. After I've scored through the cardboard, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back around again, and I'm going to push down harder, and I'm going to cut all the way through my cardboard until this piece pops out. So this piece is going to pop out. Once it's popped out, I'm going to flip it over, okay? So imagine this piece is no longer here. I'm going to pop it out. It's been cut out. Flip it over on this side, and then I'm going to trace it. So as if I were to trace it, it's going to end up giving me something like that, which is then, that is a terrible line, by the way, but it would be symmetrical. Now, you can also do something that's asymmetrical. So let's talk about that for a second. So if you want maybe a vase shape that's not exactly the same on both sides, we can do that too. So I would either take a piece of cardboard or a piece of paper, and I'm just going to draw my vase. Okay, I'm not going to fold the paper in half. Just going to draw my vase. So this can be, you guys can be as creative with this as you want. Okay, so let's say this side of the vase does something like this. And then this side of the vase does something different. Okay, so you can see how this is not symmetrical. It is not the same on both sides. Okay. If I wanted to use this, if I liked it, I could then take my scissors or my X-Acto knife, and I want to make sure I'm cutting out the middle. So I would probably make a fold and cut through the middle, and then go back in and cut out that inside shape. So what's important for this is that we have that frame, okay? You want to make sure you have paper at the top and at the bottom, okay? I'm not going to take the time to cut that out because I think you guys get the gist, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on. So what do we do with these paper forms that we've cut out now? Now we have all of these. If you made more than one, you've got a variety of different things. What do we do with them now? So now is where I think the fun part comes in. At least it'll get you out moving, it'll get you thinking creatively. So there's a couple of requirements for taking pictures. So the next step is going to be taking pictures. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to look around. It could be inside your house. It could be outside your house. If you're allowed to go for a walk, maybe you go for a walk. If you're not allowed to go for a walk, find things around your house. There is an unlimited amount of things that you can do to find surface textures. So you're going to look around your house and you're going to find interesting textures, interesting patterns. So I found a few things around my house that I might be able to use. So I found this gift bag. I was looking for things that had colors that I liked. I was looking for things that had maybe an all-over pattern or an all-over texture. I was looking for things that I thought were interesting to look at. All right, so what you'll then do, and these things can be a thing like a bag, or it could also be maybe something that's hanging on a wall, or part of a building, or part of a sign, or clothing item, or a rug that's on the floor. You're not limited to something that can be put on the table. I am because the way I have to record this, okay? So what I would then do is I would take my cutout frame and I would put it on top of the texture or the pattern and take a picture, okay? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to fill the inside of my vase with some sort of a texture or a pattern, okay? So that might be one that I like. Let me see what else I have here. Make this little frame here. I found when I was kind of going through some things in my house, some patterned paper that I had, and I thought that was pretty cool, and I liked how colorful and bright it is. So maybe I would take a picture of my vase frame with this pattern on the inside, okay? So you're gonna find for the first 3 photos, I want you to find 3 different man-made textures or patterns that you can fill the inside of your frame with. So maybe a book. Maybe you find a book that has an interesting texture or pattern to it. This might be something interesting that I can use, okay? So first one would be 3 man-made things. So those could be from clothing, from fabric, whatever, as long as it was made by man. Then you're gonna find 3 textures, patterns from nature. So go for a walk, find things in nature, plants, trees, flowers, branches, rocks, things that are not man-made. If you're not allowed to go for a walk, look in your backyard, look in your front yard. Do you have trees? Do you have leaves? Do you have flowers? Do you have grass? Maybe you might even find something from nature inside your house. Do you have plants or flowers inside your house? Those are all things that can be used for this assignment. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and look at you guys now again. So, I know this is a lot of information, and it's also in the slides with pictures. Please, I encourage you to look at the pictures so that you can see. When you're taking a walk, when you're looking for things in nature, you know, think about like how far away you're holding your frame from what you're trying to photograph, okay? The last thing that you're going to need to do for the assignment is you're going to choose one of 3 options. The first option is going to be to combine 2 different types of textures in one vase frame. So when you're looking at some of the examples, there's some of them in nature where maybe there's bricks and rocks that are contrasting each other. It's 2 different types of patterns within that same frame. Okay, and the patterns can come from one object, or maybe you're figuring out a way to incorporate more than one object in your surface design. So that was option 1. Option 2 would be to change the filter on one of the images that you already took. So maybe turning it to be black and white, or changing the resolution, or changing the color. There's a lot of apps where you can kind of play with different filters for your pictures. And then the last option would be to use a photo editing program if you're good at that, and if you want to do some like really cool adjustments, you know, if you have some Photoshop experience and you want to try something with that, that would be another option for you. Going forward with this project, please, if any of you have any questions about it, I know that this distance learning is hard for everybody. It's hard for me. I know it's hard for you. But I just want you all to know that I'm here for you if you need me. So please email me. Don't hesitate. I'll get back to you. If you're struggling to finish something, if you don't know how to submit, I will help you make it work. Okay. Hopefully I'll get to see all of your faces really soon. Stay positive. Take care. Bye, guys.